I was starting to understand the scientific study of human behavior, specifically human behavior at work. I was really fascinated, and I still hear it all the time of people saying, like I have my work persona or I'm really unhappy in the work that I'm doing, but I can sort of keep that in this box and then my life and the person that I am is over here. But the reality is that we spend most of our lives working, if you count the hours. And so that work persona and that like the energy that you're putting towards that is a big part of this larger picture of who you are. And I thought that that was really fascinating, especially when it comes to artists and arts workers. So that was something where I would start reading these studies and going to conferences and talking to people who had done really rigorous in-depth research into human behavior and kept asking like where do artists fit into this? Because so often it was, in my view, coming from the theater, it was a very kind of like corporate standard operational view of how people work. And I was like, Broadway's just different. It's similar in many, many ways, but I mean, for example, it's like high relatedness. We have these like really close relationships with people, and that's a given, but it's also something that when times get really tough, especially like when COVID was happening, it created this like really interesting kind of storm of we all know so much about each other, we care so much about each other, and that's actually making it much harder to do the work that we're doing. So what sort of like boundaries and protections can we put in to create a little bit more almost like rigidity, but be able to do that for people's protect.
So two quick thoughts. I've been watching Amy Poehler's, is that how
Mhm.
she's
Yeah.
Poehler's podcast, Good Hang?
Yes.
And she talked to Jennifer Lawrence a
Mhm.
few weeks ago, really. And she asked Jennifer Lawrence, what's your routine when you do a film? Because that's mostly what she does. And she goes, my first thing is I want to figure out who my friends are going to be on set. I
Yeah.
gotta
Mm,
go find my buddies. Who
Yeah.
am I gonna fall in love, in love with, develop this really strong, intimate bond with that will sustain me through the show. So
Yeah.
I thought of that when you were talking about this high relatedness, which, just to finish my point, I think kind of contrasts with the way a lot of organizations want the workforce to comport itself.
Yeah.
yeah, it's based on competition and too much relatedness is a risk.
Yeah. But it is something that inherently exists in on Broadway. And it is I listened to that same episode and I was
Oh,
really
okay.
because Jennifer Lawrence talked about her producing partner and how they've been working together since they were in their early 20s. And I'm especially interested, and I'd love to talk to you all about this. Like, I think that there's also a very feminine way of operating that a lot of these systems came out of like a very masculine sense of competition, sense of uh,
Mail ordered.
yes, have one person who's the decision maker and have everybody else sort of fall in line. And I do think that I'm still exploring what's sort of the feminine side of that, the idea of like somebody described a director working that it's like they use pressure and heat to like massage out the knots and then eventually things start to like flow as opposed to just like saying
Hmm.
like we're just fixing it, we're just doing this. And I think that that feminine way of working is something that I'm really interested in exploring in
Well,
theater and
say more, say more. So, would you say that Broadway theater in general is, where the rules set by men?
yeah, yeah, for sure. I think that there's a lot of interesting overlap in theater that exist in other workplaces. And I think that it's very male ordered. It's a lot of men in positions of power. Um,
Well,
and
I mean, the original actors, even William Shakespeare's day, they were all men,
all men.
right? So
Right.
that has that history.
Right. And
Yeah.
then what naturally ends up happening is that women who do gain positions of management or positions of power oftentimes do so with the thought of it's because I was able to be in the boys club or I was
Hmm.
able to change my
Yeah.
enough to
Yeah.
gain this position.
Yeah.
And I have to pass down that message that other people can't be vulnerable, can't be empathetic if they want to get to the next level.
Assimilate to the Borg or die. Yeah.